Hello, I'm Cyrus Marcus Ware, and I'm the Program Coordinator of Youth Programs at the Art Gallery of Ontario. I'm also an artist and a community educator and activist, and I'm thrilled to be joining you, albeit by Skype or by video, at NAEA for 2015. I inherently believe, as do all of my co-panelists, that the work that we do is political. It is the work. It's not side to the work. It's not additional to the work. It actually is the work. In politics are infused in the work that we do for very good reason. And I've had the pleasure of working with a bunch of youth. So at the Art Gallery of Ontario, we define youth to be anywhere between the ages of 14 and 25. And I've had the pleasure of working with them for the past 12 years, a different group every year, to create projects that are about politics, are about activism in our communities, and about the things that are interesting to them, as a demographic. A couple of examples I wanted to just quickly talk about. One was a project that we did in 2008. So the projects that the Youth Council does, we have a very active Youth Council. They come together, they create large-scale projects, usually with a guest artist, about something social that's happening in the world. The projects that they do, they're usually about what's happening during the year that they're working. And so in 2008, in Ontario, our health insurance plan, we have a socialized health care, and our health insurance plan they made a big decision to relist or include again services for transgender people. And for a lot of the council members, this was very personal. This was something that was going to directly affect their lives. But for the other council members, they were just sort of fascinated with this turn of events and the fact that health policy had changed because of 10 years of activism from trans community members. So they came up with a project that they did with guest artist Dan Bergeron, and the project was called Shift Change, and it was it featured life-size photographic installations that each depicted a specific kind of day-to-day average, maybe even you would say boring, change that people go through in their lives, to try to put forward the message that in fact everybody goes through changes, all sorts of changes, going from having a beard to shaving your beard, having curly hair, straightening your hair, changing your body by the types of clothes that you wear, corsets and things like that. So there's lots of different things that people do to change themselves physically, in terms of a physical transformation, and that in fact the only thing that was constant in life was change. And so they worked with Dan Bergeron to create these very large-scale photographic installations that we ended up putting up all over the city of Toronto. There was a series of, I think there was 8 or 9 different photo transformations, that some of them were related specifically to trans identities, like the act of binding one's chest, or getting ready for surgery. But as I say, a lot of them were sort of everyday changes. Of course, binding one's chest is every day for some people, but not for everybody. And so they asked some pretty significant questions through this work. Things like, what are the implications of Black women being encouraged to straighten their hair in the media? What does it mean to exist in a gendered world and choose to be genderless? And what are the meanings behind the desire to alter one's body, or more specifically, what are the meanings behind society trying to gatekeep or control who gets to act on the desire to alter one's body? So they did an installation all through the city of Toronto. There are some great photos of just sort of everyday people walking by the images and sort of thinking, what am I looking at here? And they were put up in communities all over the city. After that, we mounted the installation at the Art Gallery of Ontario and had a big opening inside. The participants also did walking tours of the outside installations. So that's one example where the council worked directly with an artist to create work that was about something that was, I guess in the sense of maybe big P politics. It was something that had been put forward by the health minister for the government of Ontario, and it was something that was going to dramatically improve the life chances of a lot of community members in the city. So that's one sort of major example that I would talk about. Ways that they've worked with artists, that I've worked with them, that are absolutely about politics and about the sort of social issues that are happening in our world. Museums and galleries are part of communities. They are not separate from communities, and they're part of the world at large. And part of the work that I've been able to do with the youth program at the AGO is really trying to imagine a future for museum and galleries where we, as the people, we occupy, create, and imagine and innovate in these places, and make them, immediately relevant to our day-to-day lives. So I'm going to end there, but thank you again. Pass it over to my fellow panelists.